Good evening and welcome. We're living in a time unlike any other, a time of profound change and uncertainty on the global stage. And at the heart of many of these challenges is the People's Republic of China. From the South China Sea to the streets of Hong Kong, a rising China is asserting itself in ways we haven't seen before. Tonight we're diving deep into the rising global tensions involving China, from trade wars and technology competition to human rights concerns and territorial disputes. We'll explore the key areas where these tensions have intensified, what's happening in Beijing, and more importantly, how do these power shifts impact all of us, no matter where we are in the world. We'll examine the facts, and we'll hear from experts on the ground, working to make sense of this new world order. It's a complicated, interconnected story, and unraveling it is essential to understanding the future we're all facing. The United States and China, the world's two largest economies, are locked in a strategic competition that is shaping the 21st century. It's a rivalry that extends from the boardrooms of Silicon Valley to the waters of the Pacific, fueled by a volatile mix of economic interests, military might, and ideological differences. The trade war, ignited by tariffs and accusations of unfair trade practices, has rattled global markets and exposed the deep economic interdependence between the two superpowers. At the same time, both nations are engaged in a race for technological dominance, vying for control of 5G networks, artificial intelligence, and other cutting-edge technologies that will define the future. And then there's the military dimension. China's rapidly modernizing military, its growing assertiveness in the South China Sea, and its expanding global footprint have put the US and its allies on edge. Military exercises and deployments in the region have become increasingly common, raising the specter of a potential conflict. The South China Sea, a vital waterway for global trade, has become a powder keg in recent years. China claims sovereignty over nearly the entire sea, a claim disputed by its neighbors and the international community. To enforce its claims, China has built artificial islands, deployed military assets, and engaged in aggressive maneuvers that have heightened tensions in the region. These actions have drawn condemnation from the United States and its allies, who have responded with freedom of navigation operations and increased military presence in the region. The situation is further complicated by the involvement of other regional players, each with their own claims and interests in the disputed waters. The stakes are incredibly high. The South China Sea is not just about territorial integrity. It's about control of vital shipping lanes, access to natural resources, and strategic influence in a region critical to global security. The potential for miscalculation and escalation is a constant concern. Taiwan, a self-governing island that China claims as its own, represents one of the most sensitive and potentially explosive flashpoints in the US-China relationship. For decades, the US has maintained a policy of strategic ambiguity, acknowledging China's claim but providing Taiwan with the means to defend itself. However, recent years have seen a shift in US policy, with growing support for Taiwan's autonomy and increased arms sales to the island. China has responded with increasingly bellicose rhetoric and military exercises simulating an invasion of Taiwan. The situation is a delicate balancing act. The US is committed to upholding Taiwan's right to self-determination, while China views any move toward Taiwanese independence as a red line. The possibility of a military conflict over Taiwan, however remote, remains a real and dangerous possibility. The Chinese government's human rights record has come under intense scrutiny in recent years, particularly its treatment of Uyghur Muslims in Xinjiang province. Evidence of mass detention camps, forced labor, and cultural suppression has sparked international outrage and accusations of genocide. In Hong Kong, the Chinese government's crackdown on pro-democracy protests, imposition of a draconian national security law, and erosion of the one country, two systems framework have drawn condemnation from the international community. These actions have further strained China's relations with the West and raised fundamental questions about the country's commitment to human rights and the rule of law. The international community faces a moral imperative to address these abuses and hold China accountable for its actions. The COVID-19 pandemic, which originated in Wuhan, China, has had a profound impact on global health, the global economy, and geopolitics. China's initial handling of the outbreak, its lack of transparency, and its efforts to control the narrative have fueled mistrust and criticism from the international community. As the pandemic spread, China engaged in what has been dubbed mask diplomacy and vaccine diplomacy, providing medical supplies and vaccines to countries around the world. While these efforts have been welcomed by some, Others view them as a way for China to exert influence and advance its geopolitical interests. The pandemic has exposed the complex interplay between global health, economics, and politics. It has also highlighted the need for international cooperation and transparency in addressing global challenges. The relationship between China and the rest of the world is at a crossroads. The challenges we've discussed, trade wars, territorial disputes, human rights concerns, and the pandemic, are complex and interconnected. They require careful diplomacy, clear communication, and a commitment to finding common ground. As we navigate these complex issues, it's clear that the interplay of competition, cooperation, and conflict with China will shape our world for years to come. Finding the right balance, one that protects our interests while fostering a more stable and prosperous future for all, will require vigilance, wisdom, and a willingness to engage in difficult conversations. Thank you for joining us tonight. Stay informed, stay engaged, and let's continue this critical conversation together.